All right. Well, welcome to another episode in the Run Breiter Podcast. This is episode number 25, and I'm incredibly excited. We have an awesome guest on today. We have Toan on. Toan, actually, I met him during the New York City Marathon week. We did a shakeout run together, and it was just such a pleasure meeting you, Toan, and everyone else that I met that day.
Yeah.
I figured you have such a cool platform and brand that I would love, I wanted to have you on the podcast. I wanted to have this conversation and learn a little bit more about you in more of an intimate setting. So I'm gonna hand it over to you, man. First, how you doing? And feel free to give an introduction. I know everyone's gonna love to hear about your story.
Hey, man, absolutely. First of all, it's an honor to be here. And just like we mentioned earlier, bro, it was nothing but good vibes, good energy in New York. And it was great to meet you that weekend. And look, man, this is like the connection's on now. So it's like, I'm here to hold you accountable. You're here to hold me accountable. We're just going to spread positive energy everywhere, dog. But yeah, so thanks for having me on your podcast, bro. I guess what you want, like a little origin stories or just a little bit about me?
Yeah, I think, what I like to hear about from people when they give these introductions is, where you're from, what you do for, full-time work. I know you're in the content creation space, so it's good to hear about that, your story, brief story about your fitness, and then we'll dive into some deeper questions on each of those
Absolutely.
topics.
So, as you mentioned, everyone, Toan. So I am currently living in Santa Barbara, California. So I actually just moved here recently from the East Coast. I lived in Maryland, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So yeah, just a little bit about me, man. So like, I am currently actually working at 9 to 5. I'm working as an account manager for a health insurance company. But as you mentioned, I do content creation on the side. It's more so like for fun, man. It's really, I'm just like vlogging or just like sharing my journey to say, right? Just to reel it back a little bit, I've always been athletics. I played football up to my freshman year of college. I played D3 out in Marietta College, and then I transferred to Towson University. But even before that, in high school, I ran track. I played basketball, football. But when I ran track, it was just like sprints. So like the longest I ever ran in track was like a 400. You know what I'm saying? But it's like 400, 200, and like the most that I would ever run, like distance wise, like a long run back in the day would be like, bro, like 1 miles, like one mile, 2 miles tops. You know what I'm saying? But in college, like once I stopped playing football after my freshman year, I picked up boxing for a little bit, so that was fun. I'm actually 1-0 in boxing, amateur. So that's something. It's nice. It's nice to say that I retired undefeated. But yeah. But then after that, bro, I really got into like the flag football space, from a recreational standpoint and a competitive standpoint. But just looping in everything with this running, the running content, the running journey, bro. I honestly just started running in 2021 or 2020, say about 2 years ago, bro.
Yep.
Like, I mean, the whole pandemic situation, I'm sure like everyone just picked up new hobbies or just like got outside more, biked more, swam, ran. So for me, man, it was honestly just like January, New Year's. I was just like, yo, like, I just made a promise to myself. It was like, yo, I just wanted to get out of my comfort zone physically and mentally and see like how far I can push my limits. As cliche as that sounds, right? But it's just like, I'm a firm believer that every person that does an endurance sport feels the same way. You know what I'm saying? We're all chasing like that limit or like trying to see how far we can push ourselves physically and mentally. And running just happened to be that avenue for me. So like it kind of worked out because like athletics, fitness has always been a thing in my life since I was young. So shifting into running from like a football standpoint, track standpoint wasn't really that hard. From a dedication, discipline standpoint, but bro, getting out there running more than 2 miles definitely wasn't easy at first. But it was really like I really just went full send into it, bro. And like you definitely know Matt. We met through Matt, but it's just like me and him got close around that time frame when he started running, when I started running. So it's funny because we just signed up for a 100-mile ultra marathon. You know what I'm saying? So like before like even completing a half marathon, a full marathon, like an official marathon, I signed up for a 100 miler. You know what I'm saying? And from there it was just really just like training. You know what I'm saying? Just like logging the miles and just like learning as you go. I think running, when it comes to like everyone's running journey, there's no one size fit all. There's no one straight path for it. Everyone's on a different fitness level, right? Everyone has different experiences. Everyone has different preferences, different strategies, different daily stresses in life. You know what I'm saying? So like everyone's training looks different. But from a running journey, man, it's just like everyone's journey is different. It's like there is no one size fits all. So I kind of went on my little running journey spree, and like I'm still, you know what I'm saying, like still trying to figure out my stuff out right now. I have a marathon in December where I'm trying to chase that sub 3 just like you too, dude. So I guess where the content came from was just more so like I'm already training for these races. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm running every day. I'm working out every day. I'm doing what I can do with my body for my body to perform at my best peak performance. You know what I'm saying? So the content kind of just came like, yo, just let me share my story and like see who I can help out. You know what I'm saying? When I started doing that, just posting on the Instagram stories, just posting it on TikTok, it was just getting good feedback. You know what I'm saying? Like people were like reaching out saying like, yo, I really appreciate you sharing your journey. You motivated, inspired me to go on a run today. You know what I'm saying? It's those little messages that means more than, you know what I'm saying, to some, you know, to some any object that someone give me. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that's where the content came in, from the running content standpoint. But it's funny, a few months ago, I actually locked in my first like paid content creation gig. So I guess you can officially say I'm officially a paid content creator, which is really nice. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's one thing just to, you know what I'm saying, like people find your content valuable or just you to represent a brand. So that's a blessing within itself. But yeah, bro, I mean, like just my running journey, my content creation journey. I'm still at the beginning phase, bro. I still feel like I'm still in the dirt. I'm still like a rookie at it, but we're learning as I go. And it's just funny because like with the running journey, bro, like now that I've ran like marathons and ultra marathons, bro, I relate it to life. Or I have my perspective is different. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're having like a stressful day at work, you know what I'm saying? Like you're dealing with a terrible client or you're just going through a rough patch at work and you're like, damn, like, yo, I just ran a marathon yesterday. Like the way I felt at mile 18, like is nothing compared to this stressful client. You know what I'm saying? So like for me, it's be like, I was like, damn, like I was at mile 86 in the mountains, like in pain. Like this client's really like nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just those little things where you just puts it in perspective. You know what I'm saying? But everyone's stressors are different. You know, it's like for me, like I don't mind going through the pain cave running versus sitting on a business call for like 2 hours, but but everyone's different. So just to loop and answer your question, bro, I'm really at the beginning phases of my content creation journey. But when it comes to the running journey, bro, like I'm still on that like search of finding my breaking point. As sadistic as that sounds, bro. Like um after running, I've ran 2 100-mile ultra marathons, and like both races definitely came with its stories and pain for sure. But to be able to complete it, you know what I'm saying, within the cutoff time and go through the 100 miles, like that's a win for me. And like my goal is to run a 100-mile ultra marathon race every year for the rest of my life, as long as my body is well able to do so. You know what I'm saying? So that's the goal. Like for me, it's just like there's so many of these endurance races that I want to accomplish. I want to see. I think the joys of running is like definitely the community, bro. That's how me and you met, right? Just like through running and like just the ability to travel. You know, see different parts of the world. Be able to tour a city on foot is quite amazing. Be able to tour Mother Nature on foot is quite amazing. But while we're doing that, it's just like pushing ourselves to our limits, like figuring out a little bit more about ourselves, bro. You know what I'm saying? I think when we as human beings are faced with adversity, right? When we're faced with the fact that it's hard, do I keep going? Do I quit? What do I do in the face of pain while I'm going through pain? I think that's where real growth is at. I mean, as cliche and corny as it sounds, bro, like real growth is on the other side of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
So I think like that's really what all of us human beings that are running these marathons, triathlons, XYZ, biking, like we're all trying to find that limit and just grow as human beings, bro. Because like just as I mentioned, bro, like after doing all these races, it just sheds a lot of perspective on life, you know. So I know for me, I have a lot of plans and events that I want to accomplish this year and next year as well, and of course all the years to come. But no, man, like the running journey is fresh, the content creation journey is fresh. So you're speaking to someone at ground zero.
Yeah, man. First of all, such a great background. It's really great to understand what got you into it in the first place and what has allowed you to really see a lot of upfront success with it, but also really excited to hear like it's still fresh for you, right? And you're still figuring it out. But the fact that you have the content creation with it, it's going to be really cool to see how your goals change, how you improve over time, what you learn from your successes and your failures, because that's so much value that I know your community appreciates. I know I appreciate as an individual.
Thank you, brother. I
And
appreciate that.
yeah, and I'm sure the more that you do, the bigger your community will grow and the more connected they'll feel with you. So Yeah, really respect everything you're doing, man. It's really an honor to be obviously a friend of yours now and to have you
Absolutely.
today. But I do want to dive into some questions because you gave me like I'm like thinking of 100 questions I could probably ask
For
based on
sure,
all the
brother.
information. First of all, I saw that you ran the 100-mile race on your TikTok, but I didn't realize you did that before even completing a marathon.
Yeah.
That's so impressive and like very rare. I feel like most people, I mean, I know David
I,
Goggins, I think he did
I
that.
definitely skipped a few distances for sure. No,
Yeah.
so like from an official marathon standpoint, I ran like official races, right? Like on
Mhm.
my 27th birthday, I actually ran 27 miles and biked 27 miles. It's like my own little like testimony to myself for like my 27th birthday.
That's really
Um, but yeah, bro, I mean like before I signed up for an official marathon, I signed up for a 50K, which was like a training run for
Mhm.
the 100 miler. So from an official race standpoint, I completed an ultra before I completed an official marathon. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's one of the it's great, bro. Because like as you know, bro, like what's it like the statistics? Like 1% of the population has ran a marathon.
Yeah.
So like a smaller population has ran an ultra, let alone a smaller population has ran 100 plus. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I mean like at the end of the day, like if you're any distance, you gotta respect. But like it is nice to like have that like like I'm a part of a small little club. You know what I'm saying? That has ran a 100-mile race. So that's nice. But it's just like after doing ultra marathons, dude, it's definitely sheds a lot of perspective from a race standpoint, right? Like, and this is just my personal opinion. This is how I personally feel. But like for me, after completing like more than one 100-mile race of 50K XYZ, it's more so like even with the marathons I'm training for, I know I have 26.2 in me. You know what I'm saying? But it's just more so just like engineering and programming the paces that I need to hit. So I think for me, it's just more like from a marathon standpoint, as weird as it sounds, the marathon is like a sprint, a long distance sprint. I know it sounds crazy, but like it's just like yo, like just from a training standpoint, it's like easy runs, tempo runs, track workouts, long runs with paces. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like it's so that down to the T versus like, bro, when I'm training for a trail run, it's just time on feet. You know what I'm saying? Like power hiking, just making sure I'm out there for 2-3 hours, hitting 15 plus miles on the trail. Like no specific pace requirement. Because bro, look, I'm no pro. I'm not running up a mountain. Like, like you'll catch me power hiking up a mountain, and then I'll run down. But no, bro. So yeah, so absolutely, like completing an ultra marathon before an actual marathon has definitely like shed some perspective from a mindset standpoint for me.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, bro. I mean, it's just really crazy because like I mean, I guess I'll dive deep into this too a little bit more too. So
Sure.
it's funny because my running journey started 2 years ago, and as it started, like I mentioned before, it started with a simple promise to myself, right, to step out my comfort zone and push myself physically and mentally. But it's crazy because like during all that time, bro, I'm telling you, like during my running journey, it's funny how life happens. Like things just happen within my journey, which is like it shed a lot of perspective in my life and made me appreciate running a little bit more. So for example, one thing that happened was like I told you I was in flag football, so we were at a flag football tournament in Richmond, bro, and that tournament I played one game. We lost, but it was a good game. We played against a top team. But the second game, bro, like I got hit and concussion, like concussion to the standpoint where like I got hit, head hit the ground. I woke up in the hospital. You
Damn.
know, so like I didn't remember anything.
Okay.
So I completely blacked out, bro. And it was one of those situations where that was the first time I ever had a concussion that bad. You know, where I couldn't remember it, like things were hazy, like things didn't come back to me till like hours later. Like it's crazy because like I was in the hospital, they did the brain scans, and like they said nothing was wrong. You know what I'm saying? But like if you ask anyone on that football field or anyone that was spectating the game, they said like yo, my body looked like it was dead. Like you know what I'm saying? They said I wasn't moving. You know, so that right there was just like it was like damn, like for me to walk away with that with like no, like from the scans, like there was nothing wrong. So that right there was a blessing. You know what I'm saying? But like even after that, the doctor was like, look, you can't watch TV, can't look at your phone, no physical activity for like a week or two. You know what I'm saying? And like for me, like fitness and like running and playing flag football was my outlet, bro. I think that that's for a lot of people. Like physical activity is a lot of outlets for like people to, you know what I'm saying, just like exercise or express themselves or just like get rid of some steam. You know what I'm saying? So for me, um, being on bed rest for like a week or two, you know, so like it was honestly hard. Like I couldn't even look at my phone. I couldn't do anything. So like it was one of those things, one of those events for me And the only thing I left from that hospital was an expensive ass hospital bill. But it was a peace of mind that there was nothing wrong with me from a mental standpoint, right? Because like for all I know, I could have been paralyzed. I could have been a goner. You know what I'm saying? So that right there shed a lot of perspective on my life. But also me being on bed rest was like, damn, like we as human beings take the little things for granted, like being able to move, having a well-abled body. You know what I'm saying? That's why I have my saying like movement is medicine. You know, stay up, stay active, stay moving. Movement is medicine because it's one of those things that we as human beings like we probably overlook, and it's crazy because like with the pandemic hitting, and I'm still working my 9 to 5. I'm working from home. I'm working remote. You can see my little setup back here. But I'm talking to I'm talking to coworkers, and they're like, "Yo, like I'm stressed out, like XYZ." And like for me, bro, like me working from home, my quality of life went up. But for my other coworkers that I spoke to, is like them working from home, like brings them more stress. And then, but the main factor was like, yo, like they're not doing anything outside of work. So when you're working from home, like your work is 24/7 for you. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of led me to think like, yo, like if we can't bring our best to our loved ones, if we can't bring our best to our friends, if we can't bring our best to ourselves, like how can we bring our, if we can't bring our best to ourselves, how can we bring our best to the people around us? You know what I'm saying? And that's how like the movement is medicine kind of like took on for me, where it's just like, yo, like don't get me wrong, like some people that they don't have a well-able body, that you know what I'm saying, like they can't, of course, but like for the most part, it's like, yo, like we take human beings take like the ability to move for granted. You know what I'm saying? And I think me being on bed rest at that time kind of definitely shed some light on that for me. You know what I'm saying? Um, and then on top of that too, like a few months later, bro, like some things you just can't make up. You know, this is some things you can't make up. Like, so my aunt, she had cancer previously, right? She defeated cancer, but then the cancer came back. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know if you had any loved ones affected by cancer, or have friends or family that has, but like that right there for me was like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Like seeing what my aunt and what like my family members are going through, like just trying to support her, and that kind of led back to me like life is short. You know what I'm saying? There's just things that we take for granted. Goes back to like good health. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things like, what can we do to prolong our life? You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to like being sick or whatever, or we as human beings tend to things when it's already too late, versus playing on the offense and like doing the preventative stuff, right? Exercising, eating good, getting good rest, you know, having a good quality of life, low stress. Um, but good news is my aunt defeated cancer again. She's cancer free. So I definitely will add that in there. But like during that time frame of just like me getting ready for my 100-mile race, for like all this is happening. So like for me, just training, going out every day, it was just like, yo, like I have no excuse. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm choosing to go running. I'm choosing to go push my lips. I'm choosing to go train. I'm choosing to maximize my body. Like there's people out there that didn't choose to get cancer. You know what I'm saying? There's people that didn't choose to be paralyzed, XYZ. So for me, it was just like realizing like, yo, like this life we have, this well-able body that I have is a true blessing. So like it would be a disservice to not try to maximize my body while I'm here. So I guess that kind of loops into my whole like running journey, like me prepping my first 100-mile ultra marathon, bro, which is like the events that happened leading up to that first race just shed so much perspective on my life, where it was just like, yo, you have no excuse. So like the accountability was always going to be there. Like I know you've seen me post stuff, so like, bro, the blueprint to success for me is discipline, consistency, and patience, bro. So like for me, it's like the good thing with running is like we get better at running as we get older. You know what I'm saying? We age like fine ones. So it's like right now it's just like I'm just enjoying life. I'm enjoying this running journey. I'm enjoying this content creation journey right now. And I think the society we live in right now, bro, is like everyone wants that quick results. And I think the joys of running is there is no quick results. You feel me? Like you literally stack these bricks every day. You know what I'm saying? And then finally you work to what you get. Like we're not gonna run a sub 3. If you're a 3:30 marathon run, you're not hitting the sub 3 next week. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's one of those things. It's like when you're patient, you're disciplined, and you're consistent with your training, or just like your lifestyle, any goal can be achieved for sure. So yeah, man. I know I just ran it on a little bit. They're very scattered thoughts, bro. But like that's the stuff that's just been shooting out my head. So I guess I answered your question a little bit, right?
It 100% did. And I mean, first of all, thank you so much for opening up about all that. I mean, you're telling me a lot of things about you I didn't know, but I think really the biggest takeaway there is perspective, right? And just knowing the fact
Absolutely.
we live this life where any day anything can change, whether you get tackled the wrong way in football or
Yeah.
there's disease that unfortunately hits you that's out of your control. But
Yeah,
like
bro.
while we're healthy, while we're breathing, while we're walking, running, might as well make the most of it, right? And build up that
Right?
legacy, which I
Yeah.
love to hear that you're doing, man. Really.
Yeah, and of course, I'm not telling everyone to go out and run 100 miles. You feel me? But I'm saying like everyone should prioritize their health to a certain standpoint, right? Whether it's some type of movement, but like even so with my running and my content, like I guess it's more so like me running 100 miles or like whatever I have planned coming up is more so like getting out of my comfort zone. You know what I'm saying? I think like my message beyond movement is medicine is like, yo, like step out your comfort zone, try something new. Like if Sally wants to learn how to cook, like take that cooking lesson, buy that cookbook. You know what I'm saying? Or like if someone really wants to get into YouTube, like start that YouTube channel, just like start recording content. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like at the end of the day, like we put our own limits on ourselves. And I guess me and you and just the people that we're around, it's like we're honestly on this journey trying to push our limits, bro, and just trying to find out more about ourselves, you know? So I guess that's really like the message I'm trying to push out with like just with my everyday interactions with the content that I definitely put out, bro. So yeah.
Couldn't agree more. I think like whether it's fitness related or not, just putting yourself in those challenging situations and putting yourself out of that comfort zone. That's how you grow. That's how you understand yourself more. So I couldn't agree more. Like I said, I'd be really curious though. I mean, because for me and many of the listeners here, I've never ran a 100-mile race. The longest I've done is a marathon, and it's something that I'm definitely in the future interested in doing. In fact, like I'm pretty
I love
confident
to hear
I will.
that.
I'd love to hear though, like tell me about like what the training was like for you because there's so many people I talk to who it's like they run 100+ mile weeks up to that training. And then I've talked to people where they've only ran 40, 45-mile weeks and then they do the 100-mile race. I mean,
You're
I'd
gonna
love to
love this
hear
answer, man. You're definitely gonna love this answer. Honestly, bro, this marathon training block that I'm doing right now, training for a sub 3, is the most structured training that I've had, the most consistent weekly volume, training wise.
Mhm.
So to answer your question, for my next ultra marathon training prep, I will be way more educated and prepared for my next 100 miler. Because going my first two, bro, it was honestly just like, I mean, to keep it simple, it was just volume, bro. Like it was just I wasn't doing much speed work, which I probably should have included more. I think I might have like one speed work day, but it was honestly, bro, like Sunday was long run day, but other than that, it's just logging miles, just logging volume. But I think when I was training for my two 100 milers, I think I only logged 50 to 60 miles a week, and then a long run would be like anywhere between 13 to 20 miles. And I think my biggest running block for my first 100 mile was the 50K, which ended up being like 35 miles. But for my second one, I think I only did like a 24-mile run. Um, but yeah, so it's yeah, bro. I mean, it's crazy because like I kind of just went into it in like my first two trainings. It was more so just logging the volume. You know, just more time on feet. Being in DC, it was being in Maryland, DC. It was hard to get on a trail, so I had to work with what I had. So I couldn't really what's the word I'm looking for? I couldn't really
Mar-
practice on the trail that I was practicing that I was gonna run on because it was far as hell. For my first race. So the first race I did was a Grindstone 100. That was through the Shenandoah Mountains. That one was wicked. That one it was a fun race. Apparently that's like one of that's the hardest East Coast 100 miler.
uh,
But then the second one I did was a CNO 100, which was a lot more flat. But leading up to the aid station was hilly as hell. Like it was a straight incline for like 1,000 feet, which was wild as hell. But yeah. To answer your question, bro, like my first 200-mile ultra marathons, bro, it was just honestly just logging miles. Like one long run day, but I'm running like 6, 7 days a week. I think the lowest mileage day I had would be like 5 or 6 though. So
mhm.
like most of my runs will sit between 8 to 13 miles, and then the long run day will be 13 plus, up to like 20. Um, but my approach going into my next one would definitely be a lot more different. But I guess advice for training for a 100 ultra marathon, bro, is just like definitely log the volume. Focus. It is because, bro, it's gonna be a low, steady state running when you're running the race. You're not hitting 650 paces on trail. You're not hitting a sub 3 on trail. So it's really just time on feet. So like some of my training days I wasn't hitting a number of miles. It was more so 3 hours, 4 hours. You know what I'm saying? Just time on feet. And then practicing the nutrition on those long runs, seeing what works for your body, seeing what doesn't work for your body. Because bro, like nutrition for a marathon versus ultra marathon is a lot different. The nutrition for the ultra marathon is more fun because you can eat whatever the hell you want. but yeah, definitely like just getting on trail because like bro, the terrain, like practice the terrain, practice on terrain that you're gonna run on because that's the high like the biggest key difference and running at night. Because like with 100 miles, bro, you're gonna have to run through at night. I think my first one I ran through 2 nights because the race started at 6 p.m. Friday. So yeah, I was hoping to finish in 24 hours, but that was far from it. The first one, the cutoff, the first race I did, it was a 38-hour cutoff. I finished in 37 hours, and then the second race I did was a 30-hour cutoff, and I finished in 28. But I'll segue this though, bro. Like it's crazy because I was on track to finish my second 100 miles in 21 hours. But when I hit mile 60, bro, my IT band flared up and I couldn't run anymore. So I hiked for 40 miles.
Sounds awful.
But
I'm sure you learned a lot through the experience.
absolutely, bro. I mean, it was one, but to be honest, bro, like all of my races, including marathons too, I have never lined up to a race fully healthy. If that makes, well, you know what I'm saying? Like I've always had a foot injury, a knee injury, or like I was just feeling a little under the weather the week or two before the race. So honestly, me leading up to this marathon coming is going to be the healthiest that I've been, and I think it's due to like getting a coach and like having a structured plan where it's like it's more so like the progression over time versus like going out there just logging a dumb amount of miles. But you live and you learn, you know what I'm saying? Because now I'm applying everything that I've learned from my ultras to like my marathon prep. I'm going to put it to my next running challenge after this marathon in December. So, but yeah, bro. So 100 miles, bro. Definitely practice running at night, get on terrain, and volume. You know what I'm saying? Steady volume. So
Great advice for sure. That's really helpful. I want to touch on how you just mentioned too the fact that when you were doing these races, the 100-mile races, it's a little different now, but you were always dealing with some sort of like injury setback, but you were still pushing through the training. Obviously, you pushed through those races. There's a lot of people that I speak to who are like trying to get into running, and especially at the beginning, there's, in my opinion, a lot of high intensity soreness that they deal with, potentially injuries here and there. It's hard to know unless it's your own body or if you get, someone goes to the doctor, of course.
yeah,
But I've dealt with, a fair share of little injuries myself. And I normally, the best way I deal with it is just kind of fighting through it, honestly. But I mean, from your experience, I'd love to hear kind of like your approach when those little injury type bugs come up and how you've dealt with them and coped with them to allow yourself to really push through your training. Because I think there's a lot of people out there who'll just kind of stop running. And I don't know if that's the solution.
Okay. I will say this from a training standpoint. If you're in like your training bug, I say this all the time. What we do when we're not running is as important, if not more important, than the actual running in the training. So like, and when I say that's like, what are we putting into our bodies? Are we stretching? Are we foam rolling? Are we warming up? Are we cooling down properly? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know folks that will go out, and sometimes it's overuse injury because they're doing too much too soon, right? Or it's like people are just going out running and just going back home, showering, just laying down. Not warming up, not stretching. So to answer your question, it's more so being patient and being fully aware of your body. And just like I mentioned, like from an injury standpoint, or just like pushing yourself standpoint, or like when you have an injury coming, it goes back to what I was saying before. It's like be on the preventative side, right? So I'll loop into that question a bit more, but it's more so like, look, warm up before you run, warm up properly, get your run in, cool down. You know what I'm saying? Like stretch, foam roll, stretch, stay on top of that because those little things will go a long way. Once just like us being consistent and disciplined with our running, going out there logging the miles, we have to be consistent with taking care of our bodies. You know what I'm saying? The biggest factor is sleep. Like are we getting a good amount of rest? Because that's when all the progress is really made, right? Like when you're sleeping, you're recovering. So from a training standpoint, to answer that question, I'll say definitely what we do when we're not running is just as important as running. But of course, like, bro, when we're running or we're training, there's always that pain cave, right? As human beings, like, all right, we'll push a little bit more. It's sharpening that mental aspect, that mental blade, where it's like, all right, well, if I'm in pain, I can push myself through this. But to answer that question, bro, it really depends on the person.
Yeah.
And because like some people can push through, but like, is it recommended? Like, is like I'll say it like this: is me pushing for that 6:30 pace on a tempo workout worth it? And when I know I feel something in my hamstrings when I have a race in 3 weeks, is that worth it? Because like my strategy more so is like, look, it's better to show up to the start line healthy and a little undertrained than overtrained and injured. You know, but this is all from a training standpoint. However, when you're running a marathon, when you're running an ultra marathon, shit's gonna hurt. There's gonna be pain, especially when you're running an ultra marathon. Where like, the one thing that's promised running an ultra marathon, 50K, 50 miler, 100K, 100 miles, the pain's coming, right? At some point, bro, like the physical is gonna go in. It's all mental. You know what I'm saying? I think from a mental standpoint, being able to push that is like, what is your motto, or what is that one phrase you can say in your head to keep you going? You know what I'm saying? But it's just like when you think mental strength, when I view mental strength, bro, it's just like, it's accountability, right? This is the discipline, everything that you did leading up to that race. And when I say that, it's more so all the work is done during the training block. I view the races as a celebration. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the event, but all the hard work is done during the training. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, from a mental strength standpoint, you showing up for every workout and completing every workout is mental strength. You know what I'm saying? Because like when you're in pain during that marathon at mile 18, you're gonna reflect back like throughout all your training, and in that moment, you're gonna realize like, damn, I put in all that work. Like, this is the time to push that. You know what I'm saying? To push versus doing it in a training block. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think it's one of those things that when you're training for a marathon and you realize that you put in 2, 3, 4, 5 months in your training, you know what I'm saying? Like, you dedicated so much time, so much energy, that when you show up race day, I think there's just some switch in every individual's head where it's just like, yo, like, it's time to go. And I think when the pain hits, and this is for anyone that's trying to hit a goal or just even trying to finish their first marathon, like, bro, like, I promise you, when someone's in pain, they're gonna reflect back on everything they did prior. Or they might ask themselves, like, why the hell am I doing this? You know what I'm saying? Like, why did I put myself through this? But even so, you asking yourself that question is like, yo, like, you're low key reflecting back on everything you did. You know what I'm saying? Because like, yo, all the work, the hard work has been done prior to the race. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's just a celebration. You just gotta show up. But then again, like, I understand, like, race day, anything can happen, right? But like, the thing is, like, when you toe that start line, when we toe that start line, we've done everything within our power to show up and have a good race, right? And then from there, the next 2, 3, or 24, 48 hours, whatever distance you're running, it's up for grabs. But yeah, so to answer your question, just more so pushing through pain from a training block standpoint, work smarter, not harder, and focus on doing what you can to keep your body healthy throughout your training block and to show up to that start line healthy. But of course, like, during the race, it's just like, I think showing up every day, training for it, sharpens that blade for when you need to show up during race days, like, and fight through that pain cave. You know?
No, that's some great perspective there. And I couldn't agree more with what you're saying. I mean, it's all about that process of building yourself up, getting prepared, and then when you step up to the race, wild things happen, whether it's the
Yeah.
crowd, yourself.
Yeah.
I love those experiences, and I love how you brought up how it's like the race is kind of just like the show, right? It's everything builds up that day. So I love that. Now, I do want to hear too, like, you went from these 100-mile races to now, and I mean, you did two, I believe, right?
Yeah, 2 marathons, about to do my third.
You're gonna do your third, but now you're training obviously for the third marathon you're doing, the 26.2, of course, and you have this big goal that we share of breaking
Yeah.
a 3-hour marathon.
EQ, man, we got to run Boston 2024.
I'm really hoping we get to do it together.
Absolutely.
That's gonna be great. It's such an amazing race. So Is it to qualify for Boston and be able to run Boston that has inspired you towards that time-based goal of breaking the 3 hours, or is it something else with that? I'm curious.
I mean, bro, I went. It's funny because last year the Boston Marathon, I had a friend that ran it, and I have family and friends that live in Boston.
Yeah.
So I just happened to be in that week. I just happened to be in Boston the same weekend as the Boston Marathon.
Works
So
out.
it's one of those things, and just like New York City the other weekend, bro, like once you're there just spectating, it's one of those like, damn, I want to be a part of this, or
Yeah.
I want to experience this. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things where, like, yeah, of course, it's great because like the great thing about these races, like you have to qualify or you can fundraise for it. You know, so it's going to a great cause. But it's just another thing in me, I guess, from the competitive standpoint. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like a sub 3 is not an easy goal. You know what I'm saying? Because as you get older, the times, it fluctuates with the age. I'm just like, man, wouldn't it be a beautiful thing or a great accomplishment to hit a sub 3 hour marathon qualifier for Boston? You know what I'm saying? And for me, I put things in perspective too. It's just like, and I promise you, like, I'm one of the most humble guys that you'll ever meet. I'll never brag about what I've accomplished or anything. I mean, for the most part, but like, it's funny because like when people talk about running, I never bring up that I completed a 100-mile marathon. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's one of those things where it's like, bro, and this is just the way I think. You know what I'm saying? And me being from a competitive football athlete standpoint, boxing from my previous athletic life, from the running standpoint, it's like, yo, I started running 2 years ago. Within 9 months, I completed a 100-mile ultramarathon. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and then the following year, in less than a year time, I completed my second 100-mile ultramarathon. So I'm just like, yo, like discipline, consistency. Like, what can I accomplish 5 years from now, 10 years from now? You know what I'm saying? We're just like, I'm able to accomplish this. Don't get me wrong; it was a hard fought battle in every single race, but to cross that finish line, it's like you want more. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, and for me, I haven't had a good marathon race yet. First race, I ran Philly. First race, I had some stomach issues. I had to stop twice, and then and then Austin, I was coming off a foot injury from flag football. So it's one of those things like I think honestly, for the sub 3 is just so like, yo, I just want to prove it to myself that I can work towards this goal and accomplish this too. You know, and I mean, not many people can say they ran a sub 3 hour marathon. You know, so it's just one of the things that it's just on a bucket list. It's something that I just personally want to achieve, and just being around like the run community and having like friends in the running community. We all want the BQ. You know what I'm saying? Just something nice to have and like get that Boston Marathon jacket. You know what I'm saying? Just be a part of that weekend. So I think it was definitely. I mean, because bro, once you get into running more, like Boston's a big deal. New York City's a big deal. So like once you get more acclimated to the running community, like you want to run these races. You know, you want to be a part of these things. So I think for me, it's just want to be a part of an experience. You know what I'm saying? The race experience, and also like just proving to myself that I can achieve a sub 3. You know, or just work towards it. You know, because at the end of the day, I'm sharing my journey, bro. At the end of the day, I'm a normal ass individual, just like everyone else. I work a 9 to 5, but this is what you can do, or if you commit yourself to a goal. You know what I'm saying? For me, it's running 7 days a week, setting my goals to hit a sub 3, setting my goals to run this 100-mile ultra marathon, just like sharing that journey. You know what I'm saying? Because like my sub 3 journey could be someone's journey to be an entrepreneur, right? So you just never know. So it's like people take little things here and there, but yeah, man, the Boston qualifiers, we need it, bro. we need it. It's more so just for myself. You know what I'm saying? And just to be a part of the Boston experience.
Yeah, no, I completely get where you're coming from, and I share pretty much every opinion you have. I get it, and I mean, I think it's a very rare accomplishment, but if you put in the time and the work and have a plan, people do it, right? And
Absolutely.
on that note, I'm curious. I mean, I know you mentioned compared to those 100-mile races, you have more of a structured plan now. It sounded like you mentioned that you were working with a coach.
Mm-hmm.
What does that kind of look like, as far as like increase in weekly mileage, some of the different workouts maybe you're doing? I'd be really curious to hear like what is different about this approach compared to the 100-mile one.
Absolutely. So like with this training block, bro, like the good thing is like after coming from the ultra space, I have such a good volume, like from an aerobic base standpoint. So for me, after talking to my coach, it was more so just implementing the correct and right amount of speed workouts in my training plan. You know what I'm saying? So I guess So for me, I run 7 days a week. All right. And I know like some people run 6 and they have a rest day. Everyone's different, but I will say the one thing that I got from marathon prep that I want to pass on to everybody. I know every single runner on Run Talk or the Instagram run community or just everyone in the run community, easy runs are key. Easy runs are key. Like human beings, like it's funny because I've helped people train for like a 10 miler, half marathon, a marathon, and it's just like no one believes in easy running, bro. Like the novice runners don't believe in easy running, and I get it because I was that way too. You know what I'm saying? Like going out the door and running and not getting that sweat or breathing hard, you don't feel that accomplished. You know what I'm saying? But then again, but for me, bro. So looping back to your question, I'm sorry for segueing away, but I run 7 days a week. All right, so my training week starts on the Sunday. So my Sunday is always the easy. I mean, is the long runs. Okay, so like long runs for me, if it's a down week, it'll be 15 miles, but for the most part, it's 18 plus, right? So it'll be 18 to 20. I think my longest run is a 20 miler, but like within the long run, I'll have pace requirements, right? So like I just finished my last long run yesterday. So yesterday's long run was 2 mile warm up, 13 miles at a 7:30 to 7:40 pace, and then 3 miles at marathon pace after at the end. You know, because I think people make a mistake training for a marathon. They feel like they need to go out and run 26.2, or they need to go out there and run the pace that they want to hit for all 26 miles. That's not the case. You know what I'm saying? It's really just programming that pace and just making sure you're aerobically fit to hit that on race day. Because if you're going out there, you're running 26 miles every weekend at the pace you want to run, you're running your body to the ground, literally. But if you can do that, that's quite amazing, and your goal should be a lot higher than than whichever goal that you're running at. But no. So Sunday are my long run days. Monday are my easy run days. And when I tell you I'm running easy, bro, like easy, like an easy pace for me, ranges between like an 8:45 to like 10. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't really look at the watch. I just go and just go off field. So easy run day, it'll be range from like 4 to maybe 5, 6 miles Mondays. Tuesday, I'll have a track workout. So that's a speed session. It'll be a combination of like 200, 300, 400, 500s, 800 to 1000s. And then Wednesday will be another easy run day for 4 to 5 miles. And then Thursday will be my tempo workouts. These will be the mile repeats or 2 mile repeats with 1 minute rest in between. So that Thursdays will be more so around the marathon pace goal, if not a little bit faster than marathon pace. The track sessions are definitely like the quick twitch, get the speed out, have fun, you know what I'm saying? And then Friday, Saturday are easy run days, and then we're back on the long run days. So Sunday, long run days, 18 plus miles. Monday, easy runs, 4 to 5. Tuesday, track session, which will go to range between 7 and 9 miles total, with the warm up and cool down miles. Wednesday will be another 4 to 5 easy pace run. Thursdays will be about 7 to 9 miles with the tempo workout, and then Friday, Saturday will be easy runs, 4 to 5 miles ish, and then we're back loaded. So I don't have any rest, but I view my rest as the active recovery of my easy runs. So if I ever feel like my easy runs are too hard, then I'm not doing it correctly. You know what I'm saying? But with the training block, I was lifting 3 days a week as well. Compound lifts, heavier weights, less reps. I would do that Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays after my harder efforts. So my long run days and my speed workouts, I would do the lifting after those workouts. But it'll be quick, bro. Like I'm talking about like compound lifts. I'm in the gym for like 30 to 40 minutes and then I'm out. But once my long run started getting a little bit more intense, I only started lifting 2 days a week. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like how my weekly training schedule looks. But most key is the recovery and foam rolling and stretching every day. Do that every day. Theragun, boots, whatever you can. Like the recovery is key every day.
Yeah. And I mean, I appreciate you bringing up, the amount of time that you spent at the gym. That was literally going to be a question I was going to ask right after. If you did any cross training, do you do like any sort of other type of fitness besides lifting, any like biking or swimming or anything, or is it just running and lifting 2 days a week?
Right now, it's only running and lifting 2 days a week. But I walk a lot, bro. So I don't have a car. So like everywhere I go that I need to go, I'm walking. So that right there is active recovery as well. Yeah, I mean, because before I was playing flag football, as I mentioned, but a lot of my injuries came from flag football, so I kind of put that as the back burner, and also like me moving to a new area. I don't think they have any flag football leagues out here, so right now I'm just stuck with running and lifting. So
Cool, man. Well, I know we only got a couple minutes before you got to hop. I feel like we could probably have this conversation for hours and hours, which
Oh,
is
absolutely.
great. I'm
We just
having fun.
vibing, bro.
Awesome. But any like final notes that you think listeners would appreciate, whether it's advice for running, fitness, business, life, anything like that that you think would be worthwhile to share before we tell everyone where to find you?
Absolutely. Man, I'll just share these words. This is like where I'm at in my journey right now. Just enjoy where you're at,
Yeah.
you know? And I think I mentioned this earlier where it's just like, dude, there's this quote where I might be saying this wrong, but it's like comparison is the thief to joy,
Mhm.
right? Or we as human beings want the results so quick that we don't enjoy the process.
Mhm.
And I think I'll loop this back to running, where it's just like running has allowed me to well, first of all, shed a lot of perspective in my life where everything that's happened, but it has allowed me to enjoy the process. And I think that for me is just like every day is a blessing, you know, and tomorrow's not promised. So like make every day count. Like what can you do to maximize today from a career standpoint, from a personal standpoint, you know what I'm saying, from a activity goal or a running goal. It could be something as simple as like, yo, making and just telling your loved ones that you love them every day. You know what I'm saying? It's just the little things that you overlook. So I guess my final message would be don't take the little things for granted and always push to spread positive energy because you never know who may need it. And it may seem very minute to you, but you saying thank you, you saying some motivational thing, or you sharing some kind of message or sharing your journey can inspire and motivate others to step out the comfort zone or to try something or give them the comfort to try something. You know what I'm saying? Like people see like people that know me from before, they knew I wasn't a runner. You know what I'm saying? They knew I played football. They knew I enjoyed playing basketball, all that stuff. But like now when they see me like doing all these running events and just running these 100 milers and marathons, they're like, well, damn, like they've seen me since ground zero, um, and I've had these conversations with people, so it's just like you just never know what impact you can have on people. So always bring positivity out there. That's really all it is, and don't take the little things for granted.
Amazing. Love all of that. Where do we find you, Toan, for the people who are listening, who are very inspired by your journey, want to see your content and, just learn from you and follow you along the next, months, years to come?
Absolutely, absolutely. So you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Toan.guyen. Yeah, some other guy took the other handle for the full thing, so I had to settle with this one. But yes,
Brutal.
follow me at, at Toan.guyen. And brother, it was a pleasure talking to you always. Good luck on your Miami Marathon training block. I'm excited for you to hit this sub 3 so we can run Boston in 2024.
Yes, you too, man. Best of luck at the California International Marathon. I'll definitely be tracking you that day.
Appreciate it,
I'm
boss.
excited to hear how you do. You're going to crush it. Keep up the good work, and let's definitely stay connected, man.
All right, brother. Take care. Good talking to you.
All right. Thanks, brother.